The next question is very similar, so I've kind of grouped these two together. So that was your password management for your digital life. So your passwords, your credit card numbers, all that stuff that you use on a computer. Now for your physical systems, so we're talking about your security systems for your home, your businesses, if you use access control systems and you're using PIN numbers, anywhere where you're using a PIN number to access a building securely. Now, we can build in some safety stuff in the background, things like from the monitoring side, we can talk about things like, oh, if somebody disarms your site outside of these hours, it could set off an alert. But what that means is somebody already has your PIN numbers, right? So that's a very slow process compared to somebody actually reacting to somebody breaking in. We're trying to verify that this person's active instead of being like, oh, this is an actual intruder. So PIN numbers for security systems are really popular for the last 50 years, right? Because it's basically been the only way. Now we are moving from a PIN number architecture on security systems to a mobile first architecture on security systems, which is a simpler version of biometrics because your phone is literally attached to your body. Like for all intents and purposes, we're all cyborgs. Like I can't live without my phone, and I guarantee you probably can't live without your phone. For all intents and purposes, you're a cyborg. Your phone is part of who you are. So we can kind of leverage that to create very secure environments using your phones now. So whether it's access to doors, arming or disarming systems, you're basically having to go through multiple factor authentication to get into your phone, whether it's your face scan or your PIN number, and then you go into an app which has a different PIN number or a biometric like your thumb. We can make it very secure and personalized to you. And that allows you to easily go in and do stuff. So if you want to disarm your alarm system, you use your mobile app. If you want to arm your alarm system, you use your mobile app. You want to check your cameras, you use your mobile app. You want to open a door, you can use your mobile app. Like that's the thing. In a lot of cases, like the Gallagher security system actually has some kind of cool things. It actually has where you can put a card reader like you would see on your door. Like so if you swipe at a door at a card reader, they have one inside, but there's no door. But you use your phone at there, and your phone actually becomes the keypad for the alarm system. So you can actually like put a thing in, go in, and I want to arm the yard, but I want to keep the office disarmed. And this section down here, I want to put into stay alarm so that I can walk around, but I want certain secure areas armed. You can do all that directly from your phone. The old school keypads are a bit clumsy. So they're all still old LCD icon keypads or really small, janky, like they look like old iPod screens, basically, like touchscreen things. And those have limitations because like there's multiple systems where it's like, oh, you can only have one on the bus, things like that. Right now, your phone is the most powerful system that you carry around with you. It's more powerful than the keypad. It can get more information. It can do more things. It's the way to go. As far if you are still having to use PIN numbers, so let's say you have an older system. All right. We want to make sure that your PIN numbers are kept up to date. So we want you to go through to your user list and actually check it with your security company. Make sure that those numbers are being updated. The amount of times I run into a site and I go, all right, here's all your user list and PIN numbers. How many of these people are still here? And they'll go, oh, well, half of those people have actually gone. They don't work here, but their PIN numbers still work. You have to make sure you keep that up to date. The other thing is the PIN number itself. There's certain PIN numbers we want to avoid. So birth years, and don't use your birth year. The amount of systems I see that say like, oh, my number is 1980. Yeah, that's it. Don't do that. All right. The other one is you don't want to use simple things like the 1234 or the 2580, which is a very common Bosch one. Don't use those ones. So make it completely random. Most alarm systems, if they are doing pins, will actually have a button inside the system that'll say create me a randomly generated 4-digit pin number. The other thing is you want to make sure that the users have the pin numbers are far enough away from each other. We don't want them close. Some pin numbers, like systems in particular, will use like a +1 system for like duress and things like that. So we don't want 1980, 1981, 1983. Like again, we want to kind of spread it out. The only other thing I'll actually say is my preference is
for you not to start the pin number with 0. So let's say you want your pin number to be 0511, 0769, whatever, right? When you take that and you dump that out of the alarm system in the background, so when we're like saying you want a user list, we're going to make you a user list so you can go through and do an audit. When you dump that into Excel, very commonly, it will try to just remove that front 0. So if you start with a number, 1 through 9, that number comes out clean. But if you start with a 0, the number could be 0, 1, 2, 3, but on the sheet it's going to look like 1, 2, 3 because Excel deletes the 0. So as a rule, don't use 0 to start your pin number. Yeah. If you do need to use pin numbers, my suggestion is to go with 6. It's more secure, but most everybody uses 4 because you guys don't really care, right? So that kind of brings me to the last point, which is sharing pin numbers. I actually put a post up on my socials the other week because we were in a situation where I went to a site and I was talking to them about their pin numbers and their security, and I went to the keypad and I was like checking out what's going on, and I asked the guy, I'm like, okay, do you guys all share one pin number? And he goes, yeah, we just have one pin number. Everybody here shares it. We just arm and disarm it. And I go, okay, and did you write the pin number on the keypad in permanent marker, like in Sharpie? And he goes, yeah, it's just easier that way. That way we don't have to remember it. So literally anybody, so me even as a technician and like a consultant, I could come in and I was able to arm and disarm their system without trying. And from the control room side and from the reporting side, the system doesn't know the difference of me disarming the system to him disarming the system. So there's no way for me to go, hey, who came in this morning and disarmed the system at what time? I look at the log, I go, we don't know, but it was disarmed at 7 a.m., right? And assuming that they don't have a great camera system, which they don't, at that point in time, there's no way to check that, right? We don't know who did that. So if somebody comes in on a Saturday and disarms the system and empties the store out, and then we come in on Monday and we go, all right, well, whose PIN number was used and when did they come in? We can't start checking that back, right? If I know that John's PIN number was used, then we can go to John and we go, John, your PIN number was used. Are you sharing your PIN number? Isn't like you become a person of interest at that point in time. And from a management point of view, that's way more useful than just a, oh, well, it was used by the team PIN number and we kind of don't know who has that. Last bit on that one, if somebody leaves the company and it's not changing because you're using your zip code and you've written it in permanent marker on the keypad, that PIN number is out in the wild. There's anybody in the world could have that PIN number. So again, if you have questions on this, reach out to me or my team. Reach out to your own security people. There are answers to getting this stuff fixed. So we can help kind of guide you through that if you want. In a lot of cases, specifically if you have like an access control list or a user list that's kind of just encumbered with old entries, what we would normally do is we'd say, look, we're going to nuke it all. We're going to start from scratch. It's a little bit of labor in collecting everybody's names, number, and getting all their pins or access control set up, but starting from scratch and keeping it that way is 100% better than not knowing who has access to your site. So, yeah,